Ooh, gross. The Olympics. Take it away. This is RamView.
It's hot out there. Let's blow off the line of screen. Hold on, okay.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the July 24th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions, call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Granite Ridge Christian Camp, a place where your life can change. So I saw the whole passing of the torch thing today on social media and everything. You know, they passed it to that fake woman guy there and stuff in Paris, and along with everything else. And I just hate the Olympics. I can't stand the Olympics anymore. Ever since the Soviets went away, the Olympics are just gross. I don't care. And so I was laughing. They're talking about LeBron being the flag bearer. I don't care. My Olympics need Soviets. I need the Eastern Bloc, right? Can we at least divide Germany every 4 years for the Olympics, right? Can we get the women swimmers who look like they're middle linebackers for the Detroit Lions? You know, can we get those people back? Because I just don't like the Olympics. I don't like the brotherhood of man and all this kind of garbage they talk about. It's gross. So no Olympics, but thank goodness it's football season. And we are happy to be talking about the Rams as camp opens. There were some great interviews yesterday. We'll talk about that. We'll look at Matthew Stafford apparently didn't hold out. Apparently they did get a contract done. And then we'll look at some Ram history as well as going around the NFL and other places. So kind of standard stuff I've been doing. I said, looking at that 86-man roster, breaking down, 43 of those players are from Southern schools. 37 of them are UDFAs. 19 have suited up for another team. 8 are penciled in as starters. Of the 86 players on the Rams roster, only 7 are from Pac-12 schools. And I looked at this one today. Of the 86 players currently on the Rams roster, only 12 were on the roster in 2021, that Super Bowl roster. Of course, Stafford, Cup, we get it. Higbee, he didn't play in the Super Bowl. He was injured. Havenstein played. Noteboom. Atwell was out after he separated his shoulder, I believe. Alaric Jackson did a spot game that year that was really critical. Ernest Jones had a batted down pass in Super Bowl 56. Darius Williams is back as a starter in that game. So is Troy Reeder. And then rounding out, I don't know if they played in the Super Bowl, if they were on the roster, got snaps that season, Bobby Brown and Michael Hoyt. How fast is a roster turnover? You could probably easily name 12 Rams that played on the team in 73 that were probably still there in 79. I haven't done that yet. Should we do that? You got Elmendorf, Reynolds, Dreyer, Youngblood, Brooks right there. You got those 5, right? Maybe that's it. That's the defense. We'll think about the offense there in a minute. Maybe it was only 5, but after 7 seasons. So my mind is blocking right now on the offensive line. You could say John Williams, he was still there. He didn't play in the Super Bowl. That would be 6. Rick Saul, he was on the team in 73. That's 7. Hera was new. France was new. What's his name? Cody Jones didn't play that year. That's 8. And then, of course, Terry Nelson. That's 9. There, we did it. At least 9 players were still on the roster by the time the Rams, 7 years after the 73 season. Anyway, how fast rosters turn over, it's amazing. Mike Florio the other day speculated that Matthew Stafford could hold out, and a day later the Stafford deal is announced. And I really thought Florio was supposed to be an insider. And I don't know how many times McVay had to stand there yesterday or today. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. And say it was all good between him and Stafford before the media understands that it was all good between him, Stafford, and the Rams. So dense the KBM is. Try and find something, anything to talk about. And I'm not really buying the whole holdout thing. I know people are saying, hey, we had people in the room who knew Stafford was going to hold out. I don't buy it. I think this deal was pretty much done. It was just a question of getting in the room, getting it signed. Because if you're going to make a point in a Super Bowl window, where's Stafford going to go? I'm not going to show up. I'm not going to play for the Rams anymore. It was always a done deal. It was just about finishing the nuts and bolts of it. And if you're going to hold out to send a message, you do it during minicamp. You do it during OTAs. With Rams players not playing preseason games, these practices matter. Stafford and his legacy matters. You're not going to jeopardize the early part of the season with a holdout. I don't buy it at all. And people say, well, it took so long. It's like, have you ever gone to buy a car? I can tell you, my wife, a couple years ago, we bought a Chevy Trailblazer, a little kind of mini car there, because we had a Hyundai before that. Don't buy Hyundais. And we probably decided by 1:30 we were ready to go. We like this car. We're buying it. We're signing paperwork. We didn't get out of there until 4 p.m. because of all the things you got to sign. Now, we live in California, so you got to deal with Uncle Gavin, and a $27,000 car ended up being $8,000 more. But you don't just sign a contract and go. All those things have to get worked out. So I just think the media was just reaching for something here. I don't think it was anything. It was in the best interest of everybody that this deal got done, and I do not think there was going to be a holdout. I think people talked about it, speculated about it, but I just don't buy it. I don't care what I'm told. I don't buy it. I see my question box filling up, and we'll get to that in a second there, guys. All right, around the NFL and other places, everyone's talking about a new left tackle. And to a lot of people's credit, they're saying Alaric Jackson is good enough, but could you do an upgrade there? And I just saw the Vikings reworked Christian Darrisaw's deal, their left tackle, 4 years, 113 rocks, 77 guaranteed. I'm going to find a way to make Alaric Jackson work before I pay that kind of money, right? And if not, he better be a surefire Hall of Famer, because that's a lot of bread. That's a lot of bread you're giving your left tackle. That's a lot of bread you're giving your star wide receiver, and you're not even sure about your quarterback yet. Just saying. But that's okay. It's the Vikings, right? For the most part in my whole life, I've hated the Vikings. My hatred diminished when they self-terminated by going indoors. But yeah, may they rot in life stinking in the earth. Never been a Viking fan. Colts announced that Anthony Richardson will play in the preseason. And if I was a Colts fan, based on Richardson, we just talked about it on Monday's show. Richardson missed he played in 5 games last year. 4 of them he was knocked out of. I'd be really leery about playing Richardson. I'd be telling him, you're not running. You can't run. You're not doing anything but throwing a couple of passes and getting out of that game, because I think he's a great talent. I was really low on Richardson when he was drafted and in the draft process a year ago. Well, now a year and a half ago. But seeing him play, that guy's got a load of talent. And if they treat him right, there's a big upside. But he's going to have to kind of get away from that Andrew Luck. I'm going to take the hit. I'm going to do those things. Otherwise, his career is going to get short-circuited. I'm sure Coach Elias at Arcadia High School and Big Rich, who works at the Mid, who are Colt fans, are a little nervous about Richardson getting too many snaps in the preseason. Former Cowboy wide receiver and current Raider wide receiver, or former Raider wide receiver now, Michael Gallup retires at the age of 28. 3rd-round pick of the Cowboys in 2018, 266 catches, 21 TDs. He had a nice career going there. And he's pulling out before it gets too banged up. Nick Chubb put on the PUP list by the Browns with the expectation that he returns sometime this season. Speaking of former Rams, and that's the other reason, why do you rate Cleveland so high when Deshaun Watson's your quarterback and hasn't looked anything like an NFL star since 2019 or 2020? And then you got Nick Chubb on the PUP list, and he's not even going to start the season. Why are you so optimistic about the Browns? I'll never understand that USA Today thing that had the Browns finishing second ahead of the Steelers. Really interesting thing there. Anyway, Seahawks released former Ram Tremaine Ingram. Always wanted to see that guy get playing time. I think the Rams liked him. I think time just ran out on him. And Duke Shelley, who came in last year and gave the Rams some good snaps at corner. He finally signed with the Minnesota Vikings, kind of returned home where he had been in 2022. Now, here's some really good news. Along with Brandon Ayuk asking for a trade, right? Which we don't want Ayuk traded. We want the 49ers giving him a fat contract. I did not realize this was something possible, but Trent Williams, their Hall of Fame left tackle, is not at camp, and they declared him a holdout. And I read in two different places, I think it was on Yahoo Sports and ESPN Sports today, that Williams is looking for a 4-year deal, like $112 million. That's what what's his name just got? Darisaw just got from the Vikings, 4 years, 113. Williams is looking for something like 4 years, 112 extension. It's comparable to what Penei Sewell got this spring, and that would probably include $85 million in guaranteed money. Man, where are the 49ers going to get that? Isn't that great? Please give it to him. Give it to him. Keep him there. Although I wouldn't mind if Williams wasn't there when the Rams played him in week 3. If he wants to hold out, I think he's done it before. If he wants to hold out, great. He scares me more than Brandon Ayuk. But I just love the 49ers are dealing with these issues, especially as camp has opened, right? And we're a little over a week away from the Hall of Fame game. Yeah, this is pretty exciting stuff right here. As I said at the beginning, the Olympics, gag. I'm not into the Olympics. Used to be, but not anymore. Give me the Soviets, give me the Eastern Bloc, there you go. I'm Joe Terosian. I was a sports writer for 21 years, and now I do RamView, thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law. And I also write books. My books are on Amazon. Some of you have been supporting me there, and I really greatly appreciate it. Just let me know if you do it, and I'll do a shout out for you. But that allows me to do my day job. I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene, and we are right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual, and as well as burbankfaithvirtual.com and Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. And we do have some questions that have kind of bounced in real quick here. Willie Bowen, faithful listener. Rams look real solid. Horns up. Rams do look real solid. Rams look really solid. And it's very optimistic. The window is open. Everyone stays healthy. I'm not predicting a Super Bowl win, but the window is open, right? At minute, I expect a championship game appearance this year, conference final this year. It'll be interesting to see. Willie Bowen, I hate pro basketball players in the Olympics. I did too. Until John Thompson butchered the 88 games and we lost to the Russians. Again, the Soviets, right? That one really ticked me off, right? That one exposed John Thompson as not a great X's and O's guy. The team was constructed poorly and he got outcoached by the Soviets. Now, again, you're sending in Soviet professionals against college-age kids. We still should have won that game, but I put that one on John Thompson. So I understand the revenge factor of wanting to send in the dream team. I think I'd have done it once, made a statement, and then gone back to the college players. I don't think there's any shame in your college players losing as the game betters. But here's the thing now. The college players don't stay anymore, right? It's one and done, and I'm out. And the reason why we're caught up to by the rest of the world is because we develop great athletes who play basketball. Europe and the rest of the world develops great athletes who learn how to play basketball. And they are excellent basketball players. That's why you look at them and they're so fundamentally sound. Our players aren't fundamentally sound. They fit the ESPN model: long shot, block shot, dunk shot, right? And if you can hit those parameters, you're going to get your shoe deal with ESPN and everyone's going to love you. But then you come and you watch how completely confounded they are by somebody like Jokic, right? How does Luka Doncic get his shot off all the time? These players are just much better basketball players. A little bit less of athletes, but better basketball players. And honestly, much more fun to watch. I wouldn't mind seeing the U.S. basketball team humiliated in this series, in these Olympics. I'm not going to openly root against them. I'm not really going to watch. But yeah, not big on the pros playing either. Good call, Willie. Tim Burns, I'm beginning to resent Higbee taking a roster spot and being unavailable. His value doesn't equal the loyalty. Thoughts? Rams love him. I think we've talked about this before, Mr. Burns. Going into 2023, I was looking at his contract and saying, this guy could be moved for a roster spot. They get him, get his contract out of there, save about 8 rocks, and be a little more active in free agency. Rams didn't release him, and they kept him. And then midseason last year, they extended him. So, yeah, you've got time still with Tyler Higbee. And, the thing is, we always say in McVay we trust, and I guess we just have to trust in this one. Maybe we got his successor in Colby Parkinson, and such. But yeah, I think we gotten the best out of Higbee, but he's still going to stay there. I think he went on the PUP list too today as well. Opinion: Pearsall starting this year, also on PUP list. Okay, this is about the 49ers. Does Lynch get Ayuk his dollars to start year fully staffed at wide receiver? Well, they still got Dwan Jennings. They still got him there. And you got Debo. I don't know what they're going to do. I think Pearsall is going to be fine. Cooper DeJean went on the non-football injury list as well. Jackson Powers Johnson, I think, for the Raiders, went on something similar. I'm not really too concerned about those things. I think Pearsall, let them struggle, right? Let them have their struggles, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's a bigger deal if they give too much money to Ayuk. And do you want to make a commitment to a guy who seems kind of emotional? Let me tell you something. Those 49er guys are great football players, but the Rams players, and this sounds very fanboy, they're not just great football players. They're kind of mature men, right? Especially when you get to those interviews, you saw Avila, you saw Tutu, you saw Lake, you saw Havenstein. None of these guys, these are grown men, mature men. The Rams do such a fantastic job. And we'll talk about that. I don't want to go too far on that, but they got problems in Frisco, and I think it's marvelous. Do you get the new kickoff format? How does that make Tutu valuable at kick returner? He was 17 yards per kick at his small stint. Let him go already, I say. Oh, man, Mr. Burns, you're so anti-Tutu. Let me tell you something. Creed Humphrey never played for the Rams, okay? The greatest Ram who never played for them. I'm going to talk about Tutu in the back half, okay? We'll get to Tutu in the back half. Willie Bowen, Cleveland Browns, the mistake by the lake, never won the Lombardi Trophy. I was rooting for them. I was rooting for them when Ernest Biner got it popped out by Jeremiah Castile. I was rooting for them in 86 when the drive happened. I thought it was going to happen. But I think in 86, they'd have been hammered by the Giants. I think Bernie Kosar would have been smashed like corned beef hash. And then in 87, man, who was going to stop Ricky Sanders, Timmy Smith, and Doug Williams? So I did root for the Browns. And also they lost in 89 as well. That was Bud Carson's team, I think, in 89. Steve Ramirez. Apparently, Madden doesn't know Higbee is out. He's the Rams tight end in Madden 25. Oh, did you buy Madden 25? I had Madden in 2004 with Vic on it, right? There was a stretch there when I was super busy at the mid and I was super busy at my church, and my body was reacting. I wasn't short-tempered with anybody, but I was like waking up really stiff in bed, and I had to go see a doctor, and they said I was having too much stress, and they told me I needed more veg time. And so my wife bought me Madden, and I messed with it for a while. I just, I was born too late for that stuff. If that stuff had been out in the 70s, I'd have been all into it. But I was born too late to work those thumbs, right? Put me in coach mode, simulated mode, I'm great. But, having to play the game, I'm not very good at it. So that's funny, though, that Higbee is in there in Madden. Pretty interesting. Willie Bowen, the one and done for college basketball players is called the dumb jock syndrome. I don't want to say they're necessarily dumb jocks. Kobe didn't go to college, but, they're just not basketball players. They're great athletes. They're just not basketball players. And they make so much money so soon, they don't have to listen to anybody. And again, this goes back to the Lakers. Why would you hire J.J. Redick? Why would you keep LeBron? You need to put the power base in the front office. Now, again, that front office consists of Genie and Pelinka and such. And so it's not very strong front office, but Miami's always there, right? Boston has developed something special. These teams that are perpetual, Denver's got something perpetual going because I think the inmates don't run the asylum. Not so with the Lakers. Willie Bowen, Kroenke, Snead, and McVay are the Rams' big three. Throw Stafford in there. Steve Ramirez, speaking about Madden. No, I saw the video on YouTube where someone played the Rams-Lions game. Oh, okay. All right. Did the Rams win that one? Was it simulated? Did the Rams win that one? Manny Correa, what's up, man? What's happening? Thanks for clicking on this Del Scorcho day in SoCal. We're 20 minutes in. Let's do a little bit of Ram update. Getting back to those interviews yesterday that were really good. Atwell returning kicks, the idea of, and I brought this up in the spring, man, and I took heat for it. I was completely dismissed. I don't have the receipts with me, I don't know which show it was in, but I did bring up the idea with the new rule that they can't really get moving until the receiver gets the ball on the kickoff, the returner gets the ball on the kickoff. I said this could open the door for Atwell, and everyone poo-pooed me. And I think this is an opportunity. I was so glad Atwell mentioned it, and he said, I'm going to be back there this year. You'll see some Tutu this year. I'm looking forward to it, and I like Tutu Atwell. I just don't know if the Rams have figured out how to plug him in. Good character, good hands, great speed. As my friend Big Rich would say, there's just not enough of him, and got to find a way to utilize him. I hope they do. I doubt he's coming back, so let's get as much as we can out of him this year. Regarding his contract, I thought he was great. This is a guy who lost his job last year. This is the guy that was losing snaps last year. But you know what? He didn't quit. He didn't sulk. He didn't go the Cam Akers route. He still kept contributing, scored a touchdown in the playoffs. And when he was asked about his contract, he says, I'm just going to let God handle that and do what I have to do. That's basically what he said. Just another high-end individual, right? He didn't come in snarly, didn't come in angry, didn't come in with a poor disposition about the way things shaked out at the end of last year. I like Tutu Atwell, and I hope nothing but the best for him as long as in 2025 he's not playing in the NFC West. Havenstein, the same way. And you watch the questions from the KBM were just brutal. Hey, what did you do this offseason? I don't care what they did this offseason. I don't care where they went. I don't care where they vacationed. They don't care where I vacationed. Who cares, right? Are they ready and are they in shape? And, it seems like when Havenstein does these pressers, he just does it because he has to tolerate it. It's part of his job. But again, high character dude, takes care of business, very professional. Great to hear Quentin Lake also interviewed, right? Great to hear how he talks about John Johnson being back and in the room. Lake showed so much maturity and professionalism. It just reminded me of a guy named Carnell Lake. Oh, yeah, that's his dad, right? Just a pro's pro, right? And to think that the Rams got him in the 6th round, maybe taking a little bit less talent, but taking a more high-quality individual, maybe with a higher football IQ. Again, the Rams excel at finding mature, confident human beings. And again, let's go back to arrests and all these things. Darian Kendrick last year, name somebody besides Darian Kendrick in the whole McSnead era that's been picked up for something, doing something they shouldn't, arrested for something. The Rams just have a certain formula there to pick the right people, and they should appreciate it. I'm trying to think of the last Ram to scrub his social media. Let's keep our eye out and see when that finally happens, because it happens every place else. So far, it hasn't happened with the Rams, right? I thought Lake was great when they asked him, the star position, slot, or safety. He says, hey, for him, it's just being on the field. And he said, anywhere is fine as long as I'm on the field. Really like Quentin Lake. And then Avila's Avila, right? If I didn't know him or I didn't see him play last year, I think, does this guy have the motor? I mean, this guy must do a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde every Sunday, because that's not the guy that nice, just folks, get along with everybody. He must be a different cat in that huddle and on Sundays, because right now he's just a cool dude that hangs out, nice kid. Will he hit anybody, right? But apparently he does, right? There's nothing soft about Steve Avila. Let's take a look here at some questions that just kind of came in so I can keep up with that. Korea working in the freezer. Okay. Steve Ramirez, Lions won 24-17. Okay. Willie Bowen, Rams 12-3. And then Tim Burns retracted a statement. I've been disagreeing with you all afternoon, Mr. Burns. I'm sorry. We'll go from there. Hey, speaking of the 49ers, the Rams play them in week 3. And we kind of broke down again some of what the 49ers have. The 49ers were 12-5 last year. Rams play them week 3 in SoFi. And just like they played them week 2 last year in SoFi, the 49ers are projected to win 11.5 games this year. So Even the Vegas experts are saying they're going to take a step back, right? We've said that. We said they're not going to be better, and I think they're going to be a little bit less than what they were. Besides the division opponents, they have home games against the Bears, Lions, Jets, Chiefs, Cowboys, Patriots, away games against the Packers, Vikings, Dolphins, Bills, and Bucks. That's no chump schedule right there. That is no chump schedule. You figure 2 tough ones against the Rams, then you add the Bears, and when they're playing the Bears is late in the season. So if things are going well in Chicago, Caleb Williams is going to be a better quarterback at that time of year. Lions are a contender. Jets, unless everything falls apart, we're going to find out about the Jets. They get the Jets in week 1. So Jets are going to be amped up and confident. And then they have the Chiefs. And then they got to play the Cowboys, which I think they'll beat the Cowboys, but they'll be fine. They'll beat them in the end, but the Cowboys, it's just the Cowboys. And then, of course, the Patriots. Then they have to go to Green Bay. They have to go to Miami. They have to go to Buffalo, right? And then they still have to go back to Florida again to play the Buccaneers. So they've got a tough schedule. Rams get them in week 3 after they played the Jets and at Minnesota. And then they get them again in week 15 after they played at Buffalo and then at home against the Bears. So it's going to be really interesting to see where they're at that point in the season. And here's the other good news. If them and the Rams are kind of tight at the end of the year, let's say they split the season series, the 49ers' last 3 games are against Miami, in Detroit, and in Arizona. And so they're not going to have a cakewalk there at the end of the year. Kyle Shanahan's the coach, OC. Nick Sorensen, the former Rams special teamer, is the DC. Brock Purdy, Joshua Dobbs, Brandon Allen are his backups. Right now, that wide receiver room is Deebo Samuel, Dwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall is not ready to play just yet, and then the whole Brandon Ayuk thing. Then at running back, you got McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell. Fullback, you got Kyle Juszczyk. They got George Kittle, but I thought they did a really good job when they signed Logan Thomas. I thought that was a good pickup for them. Offensive line folds like a house of cards. We say this every day. If Trent Williams isn't there, and right now Trent Williams isn't there. PFF graded Trent Williams 2nd out of 81 at tackle last year. Aaron Banks at left guard, Jake Brendel at center, John Feliciano at right guard, and Colton McKivitz, who comes in about 47 out of 81 tackles, is the right tackle. So that offensive line is pedestrian at best right now, even with Trent Williams. They lose Trent Williams for any extended time, and Trent Williams has shown he has the courage to hold out for a long time. Isn't that marvelous? Only the 49ers will be super happy. Their defense, they're going to run a 4-3. The defensive end, edge, you got Nick Bosa at 14 sacks last year. Leonard Floyd was solid in Buffalo, but he was a cap victim. He's there, the former Ram. Javon Hargrave is their DT. They also signed Malik Collins. He's their other DT that replaces Eric Armstead. At linebacker, they got Fred Warner in the middle, Devondre Campbell, and Trey Greenlaw, who's on the PUP list right now. At corner, they got Chavarius Ward, who's been really good, and Diomodor Lenore at corner. And those are good safeties. At strong safety, they got Talanoa Hafanga. He's coming back from injury, and he's on the PUP list. And then they got Jair Brown, who had a solid rookie season last year for a 3rd-round pick out of Penn State. He's taking the Gibson spot, and he's going to be the free safety. So they're good. I don't know why people say from top to bottom they got one of the best rosters in the NFL. I hear Colin Cowherd say that all the time. I'm looking at a lot of holes there. I'm looking at a lot of age, and I'm looking at a big need for a lot of luck for the 49ers. In the draft this year, they had 8 picks, 3 in the first 100, 6 in the first 150. That was a good job. They took Ricky Pearsall at 31 out of Florida, which everyone was projecting him much later. But I think the Rams had some eyes on him. But it turned out 49ers jumped up and they took him. At 64, Renardo Green, the corner from Florida State. Offensive lineman out of Kansas, Dominic Puni. At 124, they took safety Malik Mustafa. At 129, they took Isaac Garendo, running back, Louisville, getting some depth there. At the 135, they took Jacob Cowing, wide receiver out of Arizona. I remember Cowing. Cowing's not bad. I don't know how great he's going to be, but there's some depth in that room if you consider all the things that are going on there in Frisco. Jarrett Kingston, guard, USC, they took him at 215. And Tatum Bethune, linebacker, Florida State, they took him at 251. So there you go. That's the 49ers. Rams play them twice, week 3 and week 15. I like them. I like the Rams against the 49ers in week 3. I'm kind of concerned about week 15. We know the Rams schedule. We know when they're going up there. And so it'll be interesting to see. I see a split between them. And I see the Rams taking the NFC West. Again, awful fanboy, but that's just the way I feel. Tim Burns, the Purdy fans, my friends up here in NoCal are insane, ranking him second behind Mahomes. Cheese eaters are crazy. I think Purdy is better than most people think. I thought he acquitted himself really well in the Super Bowl. He looked better than Jimmy G. His team let him down. Kyle Shanahan let Brock Purdy down. But no, he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Patrick Mahomes, right? I'll say it one more time. He's not Patrick Mahomes. Okay. If you're going to talk best quarterbacks in football, it's Patrick Mahomes. It's Josh Allen, right? These are those guys that you're looking at that I always look at it. Who would I trade Stafford for, right? Who would I trade for and have to give up Stafford? It would be one of those two guys. I think if Stafford was 5 years younger, people would be talking about him more. I'm not a big Lamar Jackson guy. I think C.J. Stroud is building. I think Brock Purdy is perfect for what the 49ers do now. And it's going to be interesting. How well will he do if Trent Williams isn't there? Again, how well would any quarterback do? I heard someone say that Sean McVay, that Matthew Stafford had a really bad 2022. Had a bad 2022. He had an unprecedented number of injuries along his front line. They were hiring guys from Home Depot to go and play. You had a choice: go to work at Home Depot or go play left guard for the Rams. I think that was Matt Skura. And to say that, to put a bad season on Matthew Stafford in 2022 is it's lazy. It's lazy sports journalism. And so a quarterback's going to suffer. So how's Brock Purdy going to be, right, if some of these guys take a hike? I think they got Pearsall because he's a route runner and everyone likes him, and he'll probably build up a rapport with them. I don't think the 49ers are going to crash and burn, but I got to tell you, if I was a 49er fan right now, Trent Williams' age, if you're talking about giving him 4 years for 100 rocks, that's a lot. I'm going to count on Christian McCaffrey being healthy. I'm going to count on George Kittle being healthy. I'm going to count on Hufanga from coming back. I'm going to count on Drake Jackson, who's on PUP list as well. I think there's some issues there in Frisco land, and I think it's marvelous. But I like Brock Purdy. I think he's good, but please, he's not. He's nowhere near Patrick Mahomes. They do drink a lot of Kool-Aid up there in NorCal, Mr. Burns. All right. Manuel Vasquez, Rams offensive line can now bully the 49ers defense. I hope so. All right. Niners Sickness Podcast. Okay, he's going to set me straight. And I'll take that. Hey, brother, just here to hit the like button, say hello to my fellow brother in Christ. But that said, I can't stay. Laugh out loud. Okay. I can only hear enough about the Rams before I want to take off my ears. All right. Niners City. Hey, bro, was that a shot at the Mexican with that reference of hitting someone from Home Depot? No, I've got people at Home Depot that I know, man. They were hiring people everywhere. Home Depot, the police academy, the fire academy. They were hiring them from everywhere. Let's see. Manuel Vasquez. Purdy has 5 offensive Pro Bowlers and an all-pro left guard. Kind of hard not to put up good numbers. I agree. And it'll be interesting to see what he does. How does he grow? This is what, 3rd year now? He's going to his 3rd year. I think some of the league has figured him out. Remember, he won his first 15 starts or whatever it was, something like that. I think they figured him out a little bit. So now it's his turn to show, can he go to another place? The league figured out Colin Kaepernick, who was immensely talented, super strong arm, incredibly mobile, But you know what? He never grew. He never grew. He was still the same guy 3 years later, and that's how he lost his job to Blaine Gabbert, right? Look at Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has grown. He's gotten better every year. He has improved as a passer. I know I take shots at him as a passer, but he has improved. He's just not elite. But the league can't figure him out because he adds that little extra to his repertoire that makes him better. He's a harder worker, better adapter, better a processor than Cap ever was. So every quarterback has to improve. You have to keep getting better, and you have, because they're going to figure you out. They're going to spot all your little inconsistencies, your little dalliances here and there. They're going to figure it all out. Oh man, Niner sickness. Okay, just making sure, brother, because I'm a Hispanic and I took it. Dude, I grew up in El Monte, man. My wife's from Argentina, so yeah, there's no Hispanic issues here. There's no Hispanic issues here. I just want to hear you come at me if I said anything offensive. I'm worried about you guys and Trent Williams. Niner sickness. Throw it at me, man. Throw it at me, and let me know. I want to hear about that. Okay. I think we got most of that stuff in there. I think we did.
It was a stone group, my man.
Yeah, let's go to on this date in Rams history. Let me scroll through, find out where I put it. All right, here we go. This date in Rams history, July 24th, 1972, Roman Gabriel, and I believe Steve Ramirez cleared this up for me last year. Roman Gabriel returned to the lineup because I think a week before he had a collapsed lung in the middle of the summer. 72 was a bad year for Gabriel, and that's what got him shipped off to Philly. But yeah, I think he suffered a collapsed lung in the middle of the summer, and I'll take correction on that. On July 24th, 1973, Lance Rensel was suspended by the NFL. Now, this wasn't Lance Rensel getting suspended for flashing and exposing himself, which he did in Dallas. This was Lance Rensel getting popped for some Mary Jane and got suspended by the NFL for a whole year. Same day, in 1973, the Rams traded for Herb Adderley, Hall of Fame corner. I believe he's Hall of Fame. And they traded a guy named Bill Duloc to the Patriots for him. Now, this was interesting. In 73, I remember this was Chuck Knox's first year, and they blew up that secondary. I remember they drafted Eddie McMillan, right? And in January of 73, they traded to the Colts for safety Jerry Logan. It was a veteran. I think he was back there with Rick Volk. And they traded for him. You know, Klosterman connections there in Baltimore, but it didn't work out with Jerry Logan. And then they made the deal for Herb Adderley for a cornerback position. That didn't work out because Adderley was waived by August 7th. And then they signed Steve Priest, the safety, August 20th. They traded a fifth rounder to the Vikings for Charlie Stukes on the 28th of August. And they dumped Gene Howard, a starting corner. He was traded to Detroit in September. And a day later, Jim Nettles is cut loose, who had played safety and corner, led the Rams in interceptions. So the Rams were like rehauling that secondary going into 73 as late as September. And the season began with Priest and Elmendorf at safety and began with Charlie Stukes and Eddie McMillan. And I love Charlie Stukes. He was that first big physical safety I ever saw. I was a big Charlie Stukes fan. All right. On this day in 1978, hold your breath if you're a Rams fan, the Rams acquired Eddie Brown and a 1981 seventh-round pick from the Redskins, and they sent Donnie Hickman, a USC guy, Jeff Williams, a number 3 in 79, a number 2 in 80, and that number 2 in 80 became Matt Mendenhall for the Redskins, and the Rams got Eddie Brown. Yeah, Eddie Brown. That's a heartbreak. All right. Let's see. Let me look at notes here. I got some more stuff that just came in. Niners Sickness Podcast. Trent Williams will be in camp. Niners take care of their own. It's just working out the logistics. Okay. I hope not, but good for you. Niners. Anyway, I'm not here to interrupt your channel, brother. You have a blessed evening. Go Niners. No worries. Niners Sickness. I love talking neck with you. Tomorrow, since we're not on the air, July 25th, it is the anniversary, July 25th, 1975, that the Rams released longtime kicker David Ray. David Ray was one of the last. Tom Dempsey, I think, was. the last straight ahead kicker for the Rams. And he did the job for a number of years, had a good 72 or a good 73, and then kind of fell apart with a back injury in 74. The Rams acquired Tom Dempsey in a trade early in the spring in 75, and that led David Ray's release on July 25th, 1975. The interesting thing about the Tom Dempsey story is the Rams sent a 4th-round pick that found its way, I believe, to Philly, that found its way to Green Bay, that found its way to Houston, and they drafted a wide receiver who they waived, and ended up, I think, dealing to Seattle, named Steve Largent, that 4th-round pick. That's pretty interesting, right? I thought that was interesting. Let's see here. Born on July 25th, former Ram fullback Dick Horner, part of that bull elephant backfield, was on the championship team in 51, along with Deacon Dan Towler and Tank Younger. Also born in 1969, was a guy that I thought would have a longer run with the Rams. And that was Mark Boutte, 3rd-round pick out of LSU. Big dude, 6'4", 3 spins. Big dude. Spent his first 2 seasons of an 8-year career with the Rams. His last 6 were with the Redskins. But he started 31 of 32 games, and then they waived him. And I don't know what the deal was. That was really interesting. And he started for the Redskins for about 5 of those 6 years, and then his career ended at about the age of 30. But I thought he was going to be a Ram for a while. I think he was taken in that same draft around when Sean Gilbert was taken, and it looked like the Rams had something there, and then it didn't work out. Boutte was a 3rd-round pick, and that pick came from the Colts as compensation when they traded Irv Pankey to the Colts in 1991. And but Mark Boutte turns 55 tomorrow. So there we go. We got that all in there. Oh, we're at the 41-minute mark, and I think we got it all. All right. I don't have any problem with Niners Sickness Podcast coming in and dropping stuff in here, as I like hearing from other people. Steve Ramirez, Brown was a George Allen guy. Absolutely, he was a George Allen guy. He was absolutely a George Allen guy. And I'm wondering, do you think somewhere, I think George Allen's a good dude, or was a good dude. I read his book. I like George Allen a lot. Do you think George Allen just had a little smile on his face when Eddie Brown, he put poison pilled the Rams, right? Allen made the deal for Eddie Brown, and then Eddie Brown stayed after Allen was fired, and then Brown blows the coverage in Super Bowl 14, and George Allen just gave a little smile, right? Because I think he wanted Eddie Brown just to return punts. That's where Eddie Brown made his mark. He was a punt returner. I mean, I'm thinking right now with the Redskins in the late 70s, wasn't it Ken Houston? Wasn't it the former Cardinal Ken Stone? They had other safeties there in Washington. I don't think Eddie Brown was a starter. I guess I could look that up. I am going to look that up. Somebody ask me a question or say something, but I want to look that up right now. Was Eddie Brown a starter in Washington? I don't think he was. Not at safety, he was. That's a great question. I'll have to look that sucker up. Eddie Brown. No, I got the other Eddie Brown. I got the Eddie Brown that was with the Bengals. Let me see here. Eddie Brown. Come on, where is he popping from? Don't see him. Eddie Brown. Anyway, I'll have to look it up. My computer's not responding right now, and we'll figure it out. There we go. So somebody check that out for me, and I'll get back to you. All right, I think we pumped out all the questions. I think we hit everything. Yeah, you're right, Steve. Brown was a punt returner in 77. Yeah, he was. He wasn't a starter in the secondary. He was a guy that played safety and returned punts. That's all he did. Yeah. So yeah, let me see here. It's driving me crazy now. I gotta find out. Let's see. Eddie Brown safety, Pro Football Focus. Let's see what we got here. Defense. I don't have him starting yet. He started 5 games for the Rams in 79. He started 0 games for the Redskins. 0. Did you hear what I said? 0. He started 3 games for Cleveland in 74. 1 for I think it was 1 for who was that? Cleveland in 75. And that was it. He didn't start any games in Washington, and the Rams had him start 5 games in in 79. Now I understand the injuries. I mean, Rams were pulling in Ken Ellis and different guys. They brought Jackie Wallace back, but Brown wasn't a starter. And yet we had him in the Super Bowl at the most critical moment. Forgive me for being a little bitter. All right. There we go. Sorry to disrupt the show there. Still getting my groove back after being gone for a week and everything. So if you guys have any other questions, I don't think I left anything out. I'm looking at my notes here. I said everything, shared everything. Would you give Trent Williams 4 years, 112 rocks? I mean, granted, he's been great, but he's 36. He's 36. I just wouldn't do it, but you know, I'd trade him. I'd trade him if somebody wants him, but then that would close that 49er window. All right, I think we're good. Not quite making it to 50 minutes, but that's okay. Guys, thank you for joining me. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for pumping me with questions. And it's okay. It's okay to challenge me or say I got something wrong. Niners Sickness Podcast, you're always welcome to join us. All right, guys. God bless. Take care. And we will see you on Friday.